It can only be attributable to human error.
You're entering paranormal.
He meddled in things that you people. He meddled in things. He meddled in things.
Where will we go next? It's a phantom from another time.
No one, Mr. Mulder.
That's it, man. Game over, man. Game over.
That is one big pile of shit.
Hi, everyone. I'm Alex Kaiju.
I'm Eli Watson.
And I'm Stephen Myers.
And you're listening to
Cryptid Campfire.
Whoop,
Oh,
whoop.
I thought since we could see each other, we were just gonna do it regular.
Whatever.
My
It
bad.
all
Sorry.
stays in.
No, my bad.
It all stays in.
It's all staying in. Hi, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to the monster party that is Cryptid Campfire Tall Tales.
Imperfectly perfect.
That's about right. And, well, do you guys want to bury the lead a little bit? I figured we could kind of talk about our experiences during the quarantine, what we've been doing to stay busy. It could be 10 to 15-minute segment of what our personal growth has been for the past couple weeks. Or did you want to get right into the crystal skulls?
Let's talk about the crystal skulls.
Ooh. Yes, please.
I don't want to think about quarantine right now. I want to think about some crazy crystal skulls.
That's what we're talking about today, ladies and gentlemen.
Give us the knowledge.
Well, I mean, I guess it's in the name. It's a crystal, and it's a skull. And there's a kingdom of them somewhere out there.
Put the two together. Makes a crystal skull.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's called Akator, by the way.
They weren't seeking gold. They were seeking knowledge.
So, yeah, these skulls are like tens of thousands of years old?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even older?
They hail from probably pre-Columbian times.
Yeah. And they can store the souls of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've read this.
They've said to have supernatural healing powers. They've been known to boost the psychic abilities of anyone within the 10-foot range of said crystal skull. You just don't want to look into the sockets too long, or it'll make your mind break.
It'll make you turn on fire.
It's true.
It's true. It's all true.
You look into the eye sockets too long, it'll show you the picture of Adele who lost like 60 pounds or whatever. And you're like, it's too much. My brain is breaking.
I can't handle the stunning beauty and that voice at the same time.
It's too much.
I have a quote here from an author named Joshua Shapiro, who's the co-author of Mysteries of the Crystal Skulls Revealed. Ooh. And he
It's
writes...
not even a colon. Pretty sweet.
It's just, it goes all in. So he writes this: we believe the crystal skulls are a form of computer which are able to record energy and vibration that occur around them. The skull will pictorially replay all events or images of the people who have come in contact with them, i.e., they contain the history of the world.
Oh.
The history of civilization is at our fingertips.
Yep. Ever seen a crystal skull? I've seen pictures of one.
I've seen multiple pictures, and I've seen that you can buy several real ones from Brazil, China, and Germany.
Oh?
They got a big market out there where they have genuine artifacts.
Oh, I went to high school with a kid that we called Crystal Skull because his head was shaped like,
He was like elongated, really like the aliens?
Yeah, it was though.
It was pretty messed up.
Yeah, well, we didn't call him Crystal Skull to his face.
All right, guys. I've been sitting on this, but I got a surprise guest coming. I'm going to join him to the call right now. Guys, put your hands together for Dan Aykroyd. Dan Aykroyd, take it away. Tell us about the crystal skulls. What's that? Dan Aykroyd isn't showing. He's not coming.
Why?
Just
Well,
because.
he said he couldn't. He said he couldn't make it, but he said to read this on air, if you would. Dan Aykroyd's Crystal Skull Vodka, naturally smooth. Highest quality peaches and cream corn are distilled 4 times through, blended with the finest waters from Newfoundland, Canada. It's then further distilled 7 more times to lead to the great taste that you all know and love.
Don't
Dan
forget
Aykroyd's Crystal Skull Vodka.
It's filtered through diamonds.
You have to watch Ghostbusters 2 every time you drink it. It
Or
comes
else
on
its
the
properties
label.
won't work.
Wait, does Dan Aykroyd really have Crystal Skull vodka?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a real
Yeah.
thing? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, right
It's
on.
like Crystal
I was
Head
wondering where
vodka,
this
but-
joke was going. I was like,
Watch that
I don't
whole.
understand.
I thought maybe you'd seen that video before. He has a video from like 2015 or 2016, I think, maybe 2017. Like it's like an ad with him talking about his vodka, and it's like a new video, but the highest quality you can set it to is 360p, and it's just crazy. You gotta look it up, dude. It's so funny. It's just in terrible quality, and he just sounds like a madman.
There's this great interview with him on Larry King, to where he and Larry take a shot of the Crystal Head vodka,
Oh yeah.
and it's just Larry King is like 95 years old, and he takes a shot of this 7 distilled vodka, and like he goes, oh, that's got a taste to it. And I'm pretty sure he almost died on live air from it.
Yeah, Dan Aykroyd's like,
Ghostbusters intensifies.
just start playing this theme song really slow.
And a nice tasteful piano rendition of it. But what you got for
Anyway.
us, Eli?
Oh, yeah. I got, well, there's supposedly 13 crystal skulls in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And you're supposed to unite them, and it will either, according to several different sites on the internet, it will either usher us into a new age of enlightenment or spirituality, or it will save us from December 12th, 2012, which is already passed.
Cross that off the list.
So, but I also have this crazy quote here from Native American Cherokee medicine man Harley Swift Deer Reagan. He says, the skulls were kept inside a pyramid in a formation of tremendous power known as the Ark. The Ark was comprised of the 12 skulls from each of the sacred planets kept in a circle, with the 13th skull, the largest, placed in the center of this formation. The 13th skull represents the collective consciousness of all the worlds. It connects up the knowledge of all the sacred planets.
So don't drop it.
You break it, you buy it.
I don't know. I feel like these claims are dubious at best.
Well, I wonder too what the other 12 skulls are, because if the one is the computer with everything ever on it, are the other ones like the modems that keep it backed up?
Yeah, they gotta be, dude.
They're the 12 backup iClouds.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, aside from all this new age spiritualism BS.
Dippy BS.
Yeah. I mean, I guess we'll get into it. I don't know, because there's like some crazy stuff out here. I have this from author Drunvall Melchizedek. Have you heard of him?
Mm-mm.
Well, basically, Melchizedek is not his real name. He legally changed his name in like the 90s because he had discovered the spirit of Melchizedek. And he's like the one who brings all the sacred geometry and the flower of life. Everything's all connected through Nibiru. Basically, he's the guy who started all that.
Okay.
And has now imposed his dogmatic worldviews onto crystal skulls. And so he writes in one of his books, what's it called? Serpent of Light. He writes that he came across Mayan descendants in the Yucatan who had crystal skulls, and they contained the souls of ancient Mayans who were waiting for the day when their ancient knowledge would be required. And I'm like, what? Where did you get this?
I don't know, but the one of the there's two priesthoods in the Mormon religion, and the one you get when you're a kid is the Aaronic priesthood, and the one you get when you turn 18 is called the Melchizedek priesthood.
Oh, wild.
Whoa.
Is that our connection to Mormons and crystal skulls?
Whoa! It's all connected.
It wasn't the gold tablets John Smith had. It was the crystal skulls.
He had the Mayan skulls.
And so before you're 18, you're in the Ironic.
They make you they make you stare into the sockets when you turn 18. Like,
and your response goes from to I understand it now.
I love being a Mormon.
Do you guys remember the YouTube ads for the Mormons? I used to get them like when YouTube first introduced ads. They were all Mormon ads. Dude, it was crazy. All the commercials were like, dude, I was an alcoholic. I got into a car accident, but now I'm a Mormon.
Like, sign up for your free Book of Mormon today.
I've upgraded to the next level.
Yeah, they just harass like one person out of every like 200 around the block. Just one single person. Eli's bombarded. Did they come to your house?
Nah.
Dude, that would have been crazy.
They're like,
They're like,
get this guy.
have you been getting our ads, Eli?
They don't go to dirt roads, dude.
Yeah.
They don't go down country roads.
But yes, I would like to begin here because this is the source of all the mysteries. Not quite, but it's definitely an interesting way to start this off. Let's rewind back to 1992, which actually I think is the year Melchizedek changed his name legally. So that's kind of interesting. But back to 1992, we have a package that arrives on the doorstep of a man named Richard Alborn, the curator of the Hispanic American collection at the Smithsonian. He receives a box and he takes it to his friend Jane McLaren Walsh, who, oh man, did I not write it down? Basically, she's in charge of like Hispanic studies at the Smithsonian, right? So in the box, there's a letter that's unsigned, doesn't say who it's from. And it says, this Aztec crystal skull purported to be a part of Porfirio Diaz's collection was purchased in Mexico in 1960. I'm offering it to the Smithsonian without consideration. And inside was like a 20-pound crystal skull. And they were just like, what?
They're like, listen, guys, next year the new Steven Spielberg blockbuster Jurassic Park comes out, but until then, we got this crystal skull to look at and dream about the future.
Dream about 2008.
The screenwriter of Seven is there too, and they open up the box. It's a crystal skull. He's like, I have an idea.
The original script for Seven, it was a crystal skull in the box.
Morgan Freeman's just, oh my god.
Oh, it's pre-Columbian. It dates back before,
Brad
syllabary
Pitt. What's
system.
in the box? Morgan Freeman's
It's
just freaking
pre-Columbian.
out in the back.
20 pounds, crystal. No cuts or marks on it in any way, shape, or form.
Don't kill him! Don't kill him!
He's a smuggler.
So what does Jane do, Eli?
She goes down the rabbit hole of crystal skulls. The rabbit hole I will now lead you down.
Please take us, guide us.
So we begin with the most popular crystal skull of all time, the Mitchell Hedges skull. Have you heard of this? I sure
Yes,
hope
sir.
you have.
Can you imagine?
The who now?
Sorry, what?
So we begin with real-life adventurer, possible inspiration for Indiana Jones, F.A. Mitchell Hedges. So it wasn't him who had discovered the skull. It was his adopted daughter,
Yeah, Anna.
named Anna Mitchell Hedges, who supposedly discovered it at the age of 16 or 17, depending on which version of the story she's telling. And because I guess the confusion comes with her birthday is like January 1st. So she like saw it when she was 16, but they didn't pull it out till she was 17. I don't know. Anyways, they're in, what's it called?
Lubantun? Yeah.
Lubantun, yeah, which is current day Belize. It had a pretty sick name back in the day, though. But yeah.
Belize. Why change? Huh?
Well, they were
Belize,
British
why change?
Honduras before that.
Belize, why change?
Did you hear that Istanbul was Constantinople?
R.I.P. So it's either 1923 or 1924 when she notices this glittering, glassy-looking object amongst the crumbled walls of what used to be a Mayan temple. And they were able to excavate it, and they found it was just like the main skull without the bottom jaw. They say that the jaw was found like a couple months after the fact. I mean, obviously these claims are kind of dubious, and I'll get into that right now because in Anna's writings or I guess F.A.'s writings of his time in Belize, he didn't mention the skull at all, which I feel like you would mention if you found something like that.
He never even mentioned having a stepdaughter.
No, he does.
I found her on the way.
But the excavators who were there don't mention Anna being there, which is interesting. But I guess the real nail in the coffin here is that in a letter to his brother, F.A. revealed that he had purchased the skull from an auction, from Sotheby's auction in London on October 15th, 1943, from a guy named Sidney Burney. And in modern day times, when you adjust for inflation, he paid about $18,000 for it.
Wow.
Mr. Moneybags.
Yeah, I guess, dude. Take one trip to Belize, dude. You can buy all the crystal skulls you want.
They're just giving them away.
Yeah. I guess the skull made its way to the temporary care of a freelancer named Frank Dorland. And he was the guy who claimed that the quartz had been carved against the natural crystal axis, which I guess people don't do because that means shatter the quartz. So there's something interesting happening here. But anyways, he also claimed that the skull was 12,000 years old. So while the skull was with Dorland, it came to the attention of a guy named Richard Garvin, who was working as the supervisor of Hewlett-Packard's advertising account. So HP,
dang.
bro. So he was able to arrange it so the skull could be studied by HP's Crystal Labs in Santa Clara, California. And that's
what do they have one for?
I don't know. They do computer stuff, dude. Don't they? Aren't there crystals and computers?
I guess, but like
they're trying to.
They're like, guys, take a look at this crystal skull. Maybe you could use it for your laptops. What year did you say that you went to Hewlett Packard?
I think that was 1970. It was here at HP that they discovered that the skull and the jaw were made from a single piece of quartz. It wasn't like composited crystals together. It was like a single piece, which is pretty nuts when you really think about it.
Big hunk of quartz.
Yeah. But yeah, so after that, it went back to F.A. Mitchell Hedges, and he was like, no more studies.
This is mine forever.
Those dirty computer nerds got their sticky fingerprints all over it.
In his autobiography called Danger, My Alley, first published in 1954, he claimed that the skull was 3,600 years old, and according to legend was used by the high priest of the Maya when performing esoteric rites. It is said that when he willed death with the help of the skull, death invariably followed.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I know, dude. Take the skull. Be like, I wish that kid in 7th period would get diarrhea.
I wish that kid
and the skull would do my bidding.
I wish that kid from the 17th century coming over here invading our island would get Montezuma's revenge.
What's interesting about that note, though, is that quote, it was only included in the first edition of his autobiography, and all other versions have excluded that.
Ooh, it's like it makes it a little rarer, huh? That book copy.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. But anyways, it stayed with Mitchell Hedges' daughter, Anna, until 2007 when she passed away. And that left the skull with her widower, Bill Homan. They called the skull a bunch of different things. So they called it the Skull of Doom because apparently it was like you could like kill people with it.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
Bill Homan has a different name, and it's called the Skull of Love.
Oh.
What did he do to it?
Yeah, I don't know, dude. Yeah, the detachable
Defile the
jawbone,
skull.
He said, if there's one thing the ladies love, it's pre-Columbian Mayan heart sacrifice crystal skulls. Gets them every time.
He's like, I got the whole set, all 13 right here, dude. One snap, you guys are history.
Yeah. So after Anna had passed away, Homan had taken the skull to Jane McLaren Walsh of the Smithsonian to have it tested. And that's she had discovered it was made with a metal rotary tool, suggesting that it wasn't actually pre-Columbian in nature. That it was more modern.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
found that with all of them, right? The one in Paris and the British one, too?
Oh, yeah. I have one last little note from Anna Mitchell Hedges, actually, about some of the paranormal claims about the crystal skull. Because she claimed that it caused visions and cured cancer. And she once said that she used its properties to kill a man.
Which I don't know why you would want to brag about that, right?
Yeah, right?
She's like, he was a bad man, I swear. It was your stepdad.
She took a page out of the playbook of Carol Baskin.
Yeah, and I guess she said that once she had a premonition of JFK's assassination through it.
And she didn't do anything? Why is she admitting all these terrible things?
She saw
I murdered a man and could have saved JFK, but you know what? I didn't.
Well,
Maybe
you know
she was
what it
murdering JFK.
Yeah, that the premonition she saw was her holding the gun in the clock tower.
We look at the footage of the assassination, and the dude, the fucking Secret Service dude behind JFK, is a crystal skull with a body and sunglasses on. It's just a crystal skull, no hair.
They're like, quick, someone check the book suppository.
Going to the British skull, guys. And so the British skull first appeared in 1881 in the shop of Paris antiquarian Eugene Bobon. And so, Stefan, did you have information on Bobon?
I just had a little bit that he was, like you said, 19th century antiquarian and an amateur archaeologist. And he was one of the guys with like heavily involved with the transportation of all these crystal skulls that everybody ended up getting.
Yeah.
He had his dirty little hands and everything.
Oh.
Yeah, whoa. But yeah, so a little history on Bobon, I guess, is that he spent some time in Mexico when he was young. And he like fell in love with Mexico and like learned how to speak Spanish, and he learned how to speak Nahuatl, which is the language of the Mayans, the ancient Mayans. And so, yeah, he just kind of became this dude who would find like Mayan artifacts and sell them to the Mexican government. And that's kind of like what he did for money. And then he moved to France, to Paris, for some reason.
He heard they had really good croissants.
Yeah, he wanted to try love out for size, dude.
Yeah. It was even reported that in Mexico, he tried to sell one of the crystal skulls that he had as an Aztec artifact, and they wouldn't buy it. Anyways, so he moved from Paris to New York City, and that's where he sold the skull finally to a guy named George Sisson, who then put it on display at the meeting of the American Association for the Advancement of Science in 1887. And from there, it was sold to Tiffany, like Tiffany and Co. for $950.
The whole the whole big breakfast party.
Yeah, could you imagine breakfast at Tiffany's, but there's a crystal skull?
I always loved the crystal skull in the window.
So yeah, Tiffany and Co. sold it to the British Museum in 1897, about 10 years after they bought it, for the same price that they bought it at. So there was no loss there.
Hey, you gotta break even sometimes. You know?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, basic same thing. They found out it was built with modern tools and was not actually a pre-Columbian artifact.
They were tipped off too when they said, they're like, oh, it's the British crystal skull, and it looked like the regular crystal skull everyone knew, but it had really bad teeth.
Put some braces on that thing.
But yeah, like Stefan was saying, Boban had his dirty little fingers and everything, so that wasn't the only skull he sold. And so he sold another skull to a guy named Alphonse Pinart. And yeah, that's now known as the Paris skull.
Yeah, I was gonna say that name sounds pretty French. Pinard.
Yeah. And so,
get your escargot off of my crystal skull.
So yeah, I have this at a random spot in my notes. The weights of the various crystal skulls, because this kind of helps put in perspective how big these things are.
Okay.
But I guess the Paris skull is only 5 pounds. The British skull is 12 pounds, and the Smithsonian skull, which I mentioned in the very beginning, is 31 pounds.
That's the 13th skull, dude.
Ooh, 13th, dude.
That's the chonky one.
Confirmed.
Yeah. So it's reported that Boban sold 3 skulls, and the last one was supposedly smaller than the British or the Paris skulls, and also came with a crystal hand. But both of those are now lost to time.
You know who has it?
Who?
Jimmy Stewart.
Oh, the
Jimmy
famous
Newman.
hand stealer. Jimmy Neutron.
His estate has it.
Got a blast.
That's funny that you brought up Jimmy Stewart, though, because where I'm going next kind of involves Jimmy Stewart.
There we go, dude. Take us away. Sweep us away.
So this is known as the Tibetan crystal skull, a.k.a. Amar, as it's also known. But supposedly the skull was used for healing and for divination by the monks. And so this brings us to the year 1959, when the Dalai Lama had to flee Tibet in order to escape China, which was trying to invade Tibet. I think they're still trying to. They're like in this cultural war against Tibet and Nepal. So anyways, the Dalai Lama escaped through the help of the CIA, and the CIA was able to get a foothold through Tom Slick's expeditions to find the Yeti. Which brings us to, Jimmy Stewart through that end. But I think that's kind of nuts. Anyway, so the Dalai Lama supposedly carried this 22-pound crystal skull with him when he escaped Tibet back in 59.
Did you get the prestige where he had it between his legs underneath his cloak?
Yeah.
A good magician never gives up his story.
Yeah.
Is that Michael King?
Yeah. Well, that's crazy, man.
Yeah, I know, dude. It's pretty nuts. But I have the last one here that has something to do with Nazis.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't get any on this.
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know. I think the information is very shady, very probably not accurate at all, but here we go.
That's okay.
Here we go.
Put that umbrella up, dude. Give us some shade.
So this one's called the Himmler Crystal Skull. And so we begin in 1938 through 1939. Again, going back to Tibet, where there was a Nazi expedition to study Tibet by SS officer Ernst Schaefer. This is known as the Schaefer Expedition. And, dude, History Channel has like a plethora of conspiracies that came out of this expedition, like time travel and, I don't know, a bunch of crazy stuff. But
they did a small experiment on a Scottish island at quarter of midnight with Rasputin.
They're just pleading with people to believe them. They put out new crystal skull info every week.
Officially, because this is just before World War II erupts, so everyone's okay with Nazis at this moment. Anyways, yeah, so they're officially saying that they're going to Tibet to study it scientifically. But what they're actually doing, they're doing two things here. To investigate the possibility of establishing a base in Tibet to attack British troops in India. And two, to verify Heinrich Himmler's theory that a group of pure-blooded Aryans had settled in Tibet.
Whoa.
Yes. Fast forward to 2011, and we have a crystal skull being discovered in the home of a lady once married to a high-ranking SS officer in a wooden box. The wooden box is believed to have belonged to Heinrich Himmler. And so, I don't know, this is where I start questioning the site, because it describes the skull as being 1,000 years old, and it's possibly Mayan, and it was believed to be stolen by the Nazis during their time in Tibet. My only question is, how did a Mayan skull get to Tibet in the first place? Like,
there's a lot of holes for sure.
Was it Bhuban? Did he travel through and sell?
Yeah, Bhuban. Dude, it's probably Bhuban all the way, dude.
Look at this. This could possibly be a Mayan skull. You'll never know.
You walk through the bazaar, and you see all the stuff, and then you say, "My word, is that a Bhuban crystal skull I see?"
Bhuban, he's so hot right now. Bhuban.
And they say they have the certificate of authenticity too to go along with it, And
this is the one from the Woody action figure.
This is from Spring Collection 1885.
I have something to share with you guys. I totally forgot to bring this up in my research. I came across it on Reddit. So one of the largest pyramids in the world is Bass Pro Shops. And it was rumored to be cursed because of a crystal skull that was supposedly held inside.
Oh.
Did you say pyramid?
A pyramid, yeah. I think it's a Bass Pro Shop in Tennessee. It's one of the largest pyramids in the world. And it's a Bass Pro Shop megastore in Tennessee. And it has a hotel.
They had one?
Supposedly, yes. But the indoor of the pyramid has a hotel, an indoor swamp, and a bowling alley. And
what are we doing in California?
Yeah, and so... Yeah, so it was empty. The pyramid was completely empty for an entire decade because, well, it was supposedly because it was cursed from a crystal skull installed by the owner of Rainforest Cafe.
Oh.
Dun, dun, dun.
Rainforest Cafe. They can hurt you now.
Yeah. Their numbers were dwindling. So they're like, please, Bass Pro Shop, put us in. We're like, Bass Pro Shop's like, no, we have our own brand of restaurant that we have in every store. Please, but we're Rainforest Cafe. You need us. No.
Dude, it was called the Great American Pyramid, opened in 1991. And it was $68 million to construct. But and it was originally going to be a pyramid, but the University of Memphis's basketball team and the Memphis Grizzlies were going to use it, but all the basketball teams switched home courts, and the Great American Pyramid had nothing in it for a decade. And they were reaching out to everyone from Disney to Six Flags to come like, we have this huge pyramid, please use it. And no one was using it. And so they called it the Tomb of Doom.
Dang.
Nobody wants to touch that.
Yeah, and so there was a rumor that this crystal skull was stored in the apex of the pyramid. And I guess the skull, according to the myth, the skull had been disturbed, and that's what caused years of bad luck.
Nobody wanted to go and try and find it?
I guess not.
Not
years,
even.
dude?
Oh, and they reached out to the guy the Rainforest Cafe owner who supposedly installed it, and he said that it was utter nonsense.
What does this guy look like?
I don't know. But
he looked like a gorilla in a suit.
That's when Bass Pro Shops came in and saved the day.
Well, now I want to check it out.
Dude, it's Bass Pro Shops. We gotta go.
Yeah.
But if it's one of the biggest pyramids in the world and it's a Bass Pro Shop, dude.
Yeah, they said it was like 321 feet tall.
What a commentary on modern society.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, I pose this question: what are we doing? Why aren't we there?
But yeah, that's a comprehensive history, I guess, of the crystal skulls.
I'd say more or less. It twists and turns, and there's all kinds of crazy.
Definitely worth a look.
Oh,
Very interesting.
Maybe we can always revisit down the line too.
For sure.
Yeah.
We should try and find one.
Dude, you know what I was trying to find? I guess this will segue us into the next portion, but last night I was trying to find like replicas of the crystal skulls from Indiana Jones.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them exist. They're like resin casted, but like nobody makes them anymore. So
yeah,
they're kind of hard to come by.
We need a real quartz one.
Oh yeah, you can buy some, but they're not like as cool looking.
Mm-hmm.
We should go to the Paramount lot and see if one of their little gift shops has any crystal skulls.
Crystal skulls, yeah.
Yeah, if they have any crystal skull replicas or little gopher replicas, little prairie dogs.
I think I have a good idea where you can find at least a few of them.
Mm-hmm.
At your local liquor store, down Hack Road, where you at? Crystal Head Vodka, let's go.
Hey-o.
But
yeah.
Do you think do you think Toby has a crystal skull in his head?
Dude, one way to find out. Toby, get over here. Toby, come back.
Toby's got a whole crystal body, dude.
He's got a whole crystal bank card.
You remember that scene in Crystal Skull when Kate Blanchett is talking to Harrison Ford, and they have that alien body, and she cuts it open. She looks inside, and it's just like glowing blue.
Or remember when it's magnetic to everything that's not magnetic?
My skin is shredding off my body. Right.
They're like, oh my god, it's magnetic to gold coins.
I'm rich.
And
I haven't seen that movie in a while.
Oh man, I watch it like at least once a year.
Dude, me too. I love Crystal Skull. Man.
The giant ants are crazy.
How else are you gonna know what to say when you meet a Russian? You go, I think you're from the West Ukraine. The way you're sinking the teeth into your wubba-yous.
That's some of the best lines, dude.
Yeah, it always weirded me out that everybody like tore that one apart out of all the Indiana Joneses, even though I feel like Temple of Doom is goofier. Right?
I know. I actually made a comment on Reddit the other day, and I was worried I was going to get downvoted, but everyone actually upvoted me, where I said, I said basically what you just said, like everyone draws the line at aliens, but I'm like, look at the end of Raiders. Are we really going to pretend that's realistic?
I know. Temple of Doom, he reaches in through the skin and pulls out a heart.
Yeah,
My
dude.
God.
Right through the chest. Doesn't need a knife or anything. Just shoves his hand right in.
And the dude's still alive.
I know, exactly. I'm like, what? I don't understand the logic with these people.
Well, you know what's crazy is because, they did Raiders of the Lost Ark, and they're like, all right, we're going after the Ark of the Covenant, and you have that great shot, they look at the biblical powers of it, and they say, my God, that's what the Hebrews thought. But they wanted to do the sequel, and they're like, well, what do we do? I don't know, maybe a Temple of Doom, if you will. And then the third one, they're like, all right, well, that one was kind of hit or miss. What should we do next? And like, we got the perfect idea for Indiana Jones 3. It's gonna be a haunted Scottish castle with the Monkey King from China.
Monkey King.
I know, and then everyone's like, crystal skulls, no way.
That's a little too far-fetched if you ask me.
Giant ants and Tarzan like swinging through the trees, dude. I can't do it.
I don't know. That's the only thing I don't like is that swinging scene. But everything else, I'm like,
yeah. I love Kate Blanchett, dude. Her haircut's fire in that movie.
Yeah, dude.
You just you have to ask. People say, where do these crystal skulls come from? They came from spaces between spaces.
Be like, why don't you go outside and do your own research, huh? Quit relying on Hollywood to force feed you information, huh?
Yeah. Also, someone tell that British guy, what capitalism really means.
I know. Tell Spielberg we're waiting for Ready Player One too. Also, what does Mac mean when he says, "It's all right, Jonesy, I'll be okay," before he lets himself get sucked into the black hole? We just saw that black hole entirely inflame several Soviet Union members. And he's like, I'll be okay, Jonesy. Like, are you sure?
Remember, he's like,
sure?
I'm CIA. He's like, so what are you, some sort of triple agent?
It's like that denotes the whole concept, Andy. Also, Indy, how could you be so dumb to fall for the old triple agent gag?
I know. Oh, man.
Yeah, we could talk about crystal skulls forever, dude.
And we are. Here we go, everybody.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I guess this is a good way to wrap up the episode then.
I think so. Oh, you know what's crazy? I'll say this for the last thing. A little behind the curtains, if you will. The day we're recording this right now is May 12th, 2020. And it's crazy because we're in the same month. I'd say, I don't know, 12 years ago that Crystal Skull actually came out in the month of May.
Oh,
2008.
Yeah. Coincidence?
Wait. I think not. Yeah, I think that kind of covers a big chunk of the Crystal Skulls, you hold them up to the light and you can see all the cool microcosm universes that are swirling around in there.
Yeah, and to all the listeners out there, Cryptid Campfire LLC is not responsible for any nightmares or visions you may have after the listening of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So if you have any grievances, take them up with your city council.
Please. We are not responsible for Harrison Fords falling from the sky in refrigerators.
Yeah. Still can't believe that, dude.
So, Alex, if I want to find you online, how do I...
What?
If I want to hear your commentary on Crystal Skull, how do I do that?
Well, I guess I'll say this. If you want to find me in the graveyard that is Instagram or Twitter, social medias, you can look up. You can find me standing at Alex Daikaiju. That's Alex Daikaiju. And as the thunder rumbles in the background and the skies kind of darken, you can look up and ask me, "Are you a podcaster?" And I'll simply say, "Part-time." And my my sources today were lost in the shuffle of me getting my notes together, so I don't remember. And
right on.
if I wanted to go to the deepest, darkest parts of South America and find some big ants that, could overpower a giant Russian man, I'd have to ask Stephen Myers about that.
It's a lot of responsibility.
It is, so tread lightly, sir.
All right. You can find me on Instagram at MyersSteffen. That's MyersSteffen. And a few of the places I got my research were National Geographic, All That's Interesting, and News of the New Age.
Hoo-hoo. And, well, let's face it. There's only one way to find Eli Watson online, and that's only the pen that man may pass. And so, Eli, where can a penitent man find you?
You can find me at the Eli Watson on Instagram. And my sources today came from the Illinois Times, crystalskulls.com, National Geographic, archaeology.org, the Smithsonian Magazine, Wikipedia, and I'm going to try to say this one, Anita Joint Tenzo, hauntedauthor.blogspot.com. That was where the Nazi skull came in. And
naturally.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Don't forget the most important source of all. The 2008 Academy Award nominated film by Steven Spielberg, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Dun, dun, dun. Dun, dun, dun. Thank you, everyone, for listening to the Patreon.
Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. Thank you, everybody.
And subscribing. And it means a lot to us. Mm. And we hope we can keep giving you more content in the future.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Times we're gonna be difficult right now. Mm-hmm. But we're still trying to keep this campfire alive.
Oh, keep the campfire
We're stoking the fire. We're stoking the fire.
This is, a Tall Tales Patreon exclusive, so you know who we are, you know what we do, and we just want to say thank you for listening. And if I had to say one thing about the Crystal Skull, it belongs in a museum.
There we go.
Thank you, everybody, and good night.
This podcast is a part of Straight Up Strange Productions. Discover more shows like this one at straightupstrange.com.